Bishop Arts Theater friends. We have a wonderful surprise today. We have Ife Olujobi from New York City. So she decided to come on preview night for Down for the Count and surprise us all. So, oh my gosh, Ife, welcome to Dallas, Texas.
Thank you very much. It's my first time here.
Your first time in
Dallas. Yes. Very excited to be here.
So you just decided to hop on a plane and come down, right?
Yeah, I mean like a couple weeks ago, but like it was somewhat impromptu. But yeah, I just felt like why not? Why not take a trip down here? Yeah.
So we are super excited not only to have you here, and then just also to be presenting one of your plays for the Down for the Count Festival, Women's Theater Festival. But we also know Ife because she is one of the contributing writers to the Monologue Project.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, and we've done one of your monologues for the Dallas iteration of the Monologue Project, and it was also done for the Pittsburgh, is that right?
Yeah, they took it on the road. So they've done it in Pittsburgh, they've done it in Dallas, and I think they're planning New York and LA sometime soon. But yeah, it's been really great because that's how I got introduced to Bishop Arts Theater Center. Was when the Monologue Project came down here, and one of the organizers of that put me in touch with Teresa. And yeah.
So you are a writer, you're a playwright. So tell us a little bit about Ife and, your journey as a writer, maybe your creative process, because you're a graduate of Tisch, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I graduated there in 2016. I majored in dramatic writing, so that's basically just playwriting and screenwriting. So yeah, that really at Tisch was kind of my introduction to playwriting. Prior to that, I really didn't have a lot of experience.
Oh wow!
I was not really well versed in like plays. I enjoyed watching like TV and movies and stuff. But like, yeah, I really didn't know anything about theater until I got to college, and even then, I was more like focused on screenwriting.
So your main focus was screenwriting, and TV and film.
Yeah, my main focus was screenwriting and film. It wasn't until like sophomore, junior year, I kind of just took a playwriting class just because I felt like I should, get the most out of my money while I was at Tisch.
Yeah.
And I just had a really, really great professor, and yeah, he was just really awesome. He's like a really amazing playwright, and just kind of like introduced me. We went to like go see shows, and I kind of realized, just all the different things that you can do with theater, and just like the way they can be used as a tool for community building, and then also just like how it's so, you can just do so much with it. It's really just kind of a blank slate. Like one of my professors there, sort of like one of the best pieces of advice he gave me was that, like, as long as it's happening on a stage, it's like theater, And so that was really helpful to me trying to figure out who I was as a playwright. But yeah, just like the limitless possibilities of theater were like uncovered to me when I was in college.
That's wonderful. And then you're also a poet, is that right?
Kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's more of a new pursuit.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I've been dabbling in poetry lately. And it's been really cool. I think it's just like a different way of expressing myself. Apart from theater and then more like prose writing and stuff. So yeah, I'm like kind of just starting out with that, but I think it's going pretty well.
So, speaking of new pursuits and new ventures, I've noticed that you are part of Public Theater's new play.
The Emerging Writers Group.
The Emerging Writers Group. So that's with Public Theater in New York, correct, right? Yeah. So tell us how you got involved in that, and tell us a little bit more about that, because that seems really exciting.
Yeah, no, it's really great. It's a 2-year residency, and it's me and 8 other emerging New York City playwrights that were selected for this program. I applied on the advice of one of my former professors. I had known about the program tangentially. It's been around for I think we're the 8th or 9th cycle.
Okay.
And he was in it when it was in its first cycle. And so I kind of known about it, but I just thought that I was not good enough to be in it. And so, but he really encouraged me to apply, and I'm glad that I did.
And
obviously.
so you're a part of it, and that starts in 2019, or?
No, it starts now. It's a 2-year program, so it's just the 2019 group, because it ends in 2019. So, right, it starts at the beginning of 18, ends December 2019.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and so we meet bi-weekly,
Uh-huh.
and we just write together, we go over each other's work, give each other notes, share pages and everything like that. In addition to that, there's a year and a half into the program, we're going to have like a series of like staged readings.
Okay, wonderful, good.
So yeah, that'll be really exciting. And yeah, sort of the whole goal of the program is to like have a finished play at the end of it. So we'll have that, but in addition to that, they're really, great about just providing support for emerging playwrights. So, we get to observe productions, sit in on like rehearsals and texts and things like that. There's a financial stipend, and then there's also just like access to just see a bunch of like really great theater in New York City. And yeah, just like access to the people who run the group, the artistic directors when we work at the Public.
Yeah.
They're just like so great. And yeah, it's just like really a great way to like feel like really supported as like a young artist, and sort of just to supply you with like the tools that you need to like continue like a life in the theater. And
that sounds exciting.
I was very surprised when it happened.
So tell us a little bit more about your creative process. That's always interesting to me.
Okay.
If you can. I know that's kind of an on-the-spot question.
No, I think I'm still developing a creative process, to be honest. I think that...
well, this might be a better question. What inspires you?
What inspires me?
Yeah, creatively these days.
I don't know. I think that a lot of my work centers around young women. I think young women inspire me. I think we're so used to tuning them out in so many ways, and I think that young women, even like as young as like teenagers, like young adults, like tweens, love a tween. I love a tween. Yes, I do. But I don't know. I just think there's so many ways in which, especially young women of color, like there's so many ways in which like society like devalues them, the things that they have to say. And, takes the way that somebody says something as an excuse to, like, not listen. And so I think I think I read about a lot of things, but like I think that's definitely a through line, is sort of just like mining like the inner lives of like young women of color specifically, and sort of trying to like tell their stories, how no matter how like weird or like too personal they may be.
Well, I mean, like those personal stories really do create some of the best drama and some of the best stories out there to be told, and that should be heard. Yeah. So that's amazing. So as part of one of the playwrights for Down for the Count, what does that mean for you to actually see your work on stage? How does that inspire you in any way, or how does that make you feel as a playwright?
I think that this festival is really great for putting these different voices in conversation with each other through this festival. And as well as just like I just really admire Teresa and Bishop Arts for like putting like in the work to actually like magnify those voices like in a real production. I think that that's really important, and I think that so often diversity and inclusion are kind of like buzzwords that people throw around.
And that they don't really do anything about it.
Right. Everybody kind of wants to be on the wave or the trend or whatever. You kind of like meet with people, or you talk to people, whatever. But I feel like this is a real like example of like, somebody like taking that and like doing the work and like putting it into practice.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate that. And so, yeah, it's like very special to be here.
That's wonderful. Well, we're very special to have you. I keep on saying that, but how personal do you like to get, or is personal stories a really large part of what you do when you're telling your stories?
I don't really like writing about myself specifically.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not at a place where I find it that interesting yet. Like, it's a weird thing to say. I don't know. Because I know so many writers that do, like, write about themselves, and I think their work is, like, so great. but for whatever reason, I don't like writing about myself directly, but I do find that I have to like locate like some desire within myself, like in my writing. I think that there has to be some sort of like deep-seated like motivation for me personally to write, because I think that I've tried to write. I can like abstract things, and sometimes I try to write more conceptually, but I think there still has to be that like underlying like, okay, like what does this really like mean for me? Like what part of me is in this? Like what's like sort of what am I like putting out there for myself, or like what's like on the line for me? That kind of has to be there. So in a way, yeah, I guess I do put myself in my work that way, but I don't enjoy writing things that are autobiographical.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Understand. That's your personal preference. That's the way you write. So that's great, though. So we're doing Ife's play Interdisciplinary. So what was the inspiration for that? And without giving anything away, what's the inspiration, and what do you feel audiences can take away from Interdisciplinary?
The inspiration for it was just being a young artist. I had just graduated, and I think I was just having a lot of conversations with my other friends of color who are also artists, we're all kind of like applying for different like fellowships, grants, programs, etc. Or just trying to like get things made, period, which requires money, which often requires other people. Yeah. So I don't know, just doing all of that and just thinking about how, it always just seems like there's this invisible like white male force that's just like at the top, sort of like passing judgment on your work, kind of no matter what it is. Like, there's always somebody with the pockets behind the scenes who has to like okay what you're doing, and how the knowledge that that person is going to judge your work and that they most likely have no idea really where you're coming from. How that affects you as an artist, but also how that affects the work that you make, because I think that sometimes you even unconsciously alter your work to kind of like fit this institutional gaze, so that you can like get the money to do what you want to do. And so, just thinking about all of that sort of went into it, and then also just thinking about how, as me specifically as a Black woman, but just like just marginalized people in general are often like asked to sort of like perform their identities in this way that's like pleasing to this like white gaze, and how like that again affects your output and like the work that you're doing and like who you are. And so just thinking about all of that, and just sort of kind of this like just weird academic upspeak that happens, among sort of like the like academic people who think that they're like too smart or like woke
above
or whatever,
because they're so smart or something,
but like also too kind of like smart or woke to like they think they're like above discrimination or like prejudice, but you kind of listen to them talk and you realize they're like saying the same things, they're just using thesaurus words to say. So I kind of wanted to like put all of that into like a piece that was summing up how I was feeling at the time.
Well, I get it. No, that's we're really excited to have that, and I've seen some in this day and age. Do you feel like works like these, festivals like these, what kind of impact are they making?
I think that they're letting people whose voices haven't traditionally been heard know that there's like a lane for them, that there's like an avenue for them, and that there is an audience for them, that people like want to hear what they have to say, that people want to hear their stories, that their stories are important and that they do have value, and that this is only the beginning of it. It's gonna keep happening, and like the more we keep putting on things like this, the more it'll just become commonplace, so that we don't have to have like specialized festivals. It'll just be you know,
Part of what we do. Part of
we'll
what we see.
change the makeup of the theater.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So if somebody wanted to know more about you, Ife, how can they find that out?
That's a great question. I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess I have social media. I'm not super big on social media though, but I mean, sure. I guess you can follow me on Instagram at Ife Olujobi. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, and hopefully at a theater near you soon.
Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. That's how you can learn more about Ife Olujobi and the work that she does. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are very excited to have your work on our stage, and obviously super surprised that you came down to Texas from New York to be a part of what we're doing today here at Bishop Arts Theater Center. So please come see Down for the Count. Come see Ife's play, Interdisciplinary, running March 29th through April 15th. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.